our next guest has made quite an impact in Hollywood in such a short amount of time.
She's already appeared in an Academy Award-winning film, has another film up for an NAACP Image Award, and she was honored with a special Tony Award for her work on Broadway for Black Lives Matter. And she is just getting started. So please welcome actress and activist Mikayla Bartholomew. Good morning, Mikayla.
Good morning. Good morning. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm great. You're like a big ray of sunshine for us this morning. First of all, this is the amazing part. You really haven't been acting professionally for all that long, but you've already been part of some major projects that have gotten major attention, like starring in King Richard, playing Serena and Venus Williams' older sister. Wow. I mean, what was it like for you to land such a huge part in a major motion picture so early on in your career?
Very unexpected. You know, when I got into the industry, I did study undergrad for acting. I just thought, you know, we got to play the long game. Nothing really happens overnight in this industry. So the fact that that happened when I was so young and so early on in my career, I was like, oh no, this doesn't make any sense. I'm very confused. I think they may have made a mistake. Are we sure? Is this me? Are we? But I consider it a very humbling honor, and it was a huge responsibility to portray Tundi, the eldest of the Williams family, especially because she's no longer with us. That's really what it was about. At the end of the day, I was like, as long as the Williams family can sit down in a theater and see their sister on screen and not a girl playing a caricature of her, and that's all that matters. So it was surreal, but I was very grateful for the opportunity.
It's amazing. So what did you actually, I guess, learn from being part of that production, because it was so early on in your career, right? And during the process and researching, did you get to meet any of the Williams family?
Yes. So I think learning about film in general was huge for me. I had done a short film previously, but I didn't study film specifically in undergrad. I studied theater. I've been working off Broadway and in the Broadway community for a while. So I was like, this is a whole new world. And I didn't even know I had the skill set to come in. But I was surrounded by legends like Mr. Will, Miss Ingenue, John Bernthal, who I call Uncle Johnny, Tony Goldwyn. I was just surrounded by greatness. And they were all so caring and provided such wisdom. So every time I walked on set, I was like, oh, I'm safe. I know what I'm doing here. I can ask any question I need to. And the Williams family was a part of the process the whole step of the way. They actually were a part of the process of choosing who was going to portray their sisters and themselves. So, without that permission to be in the room, we wouldn't have been there. Isha, who is the eldest living sister, was on set with us every day. And I have a notebook with 20 pages of notes. Like, what was Tundi like? Was she bow-legged? Like, how did she stand? Did she say mom or mom? And they were just with us every step of the way, even when Serena and Venus came to visit us on set. Lindrea as well. They were really integral to the process.
I think that's part of the reason why you're your talent and why you're so successful so early on in your career. I mean, this year, the short film you star in, Dear Mama, is up for an NAACP Image Award. So congratulations to you. Let's take a look at that real quick, and then we'll talk about it.
25 years old. His death follows a drive-by shooting last Thursday night after a boxing match. His mother, Afeni, featured in his Dear Mama video, as well as other family members, held a vigil in his hospital room at University Medical Center. Around Los Angeles, vigils are beginning to form to honor the memory of the artist known to many as Machiavelli. But as news spreads throughout Southern California, a different conversation from police. Officers say they're on guard for possible unrest and possible retaliation.
Well, the film is only about 10 minutes long, but in that time it touches on so many themes. Can you explain a little bit about what happens in the film?
Yes, absolutely. So Tanisha, who I portray, and her father, who is portrayed by Garland Scott, incredible man and actor, they've both lost someone incredibly important in their life. Someone would say, sometimes the reason you're here, Tanisha has lost her mother, and it's very recent. And her mother and her favorite artist was actually Tupac Shakur. So just weeks after her mother's passed, Tupac is tragically murdered. And for many people, when a celebrity dies that you're attached to in some emotional way, not for their celebrity, but for their artistry and for what they mean to you, that can be world shaking. And Khadijah and her father are in a place where they can't communicate their grief to one another. And so they're struggling in silence. And what I think is really beautiful about Dear Mama is it's such a silent film. We communicate a lot through breath. And it's just Tanisha trying to catch her breath and find a way to like get out everything that's like, locked up in her chest.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing about that kind of storytelling, right? Because you don't need the actual words. It's in the emotion and in what you do best, your craft of acting, that kind of brings out the emotions that so many are feeling. Like you said, Tupac, part of the storytelling of the film. So when people watch it, what do you hope they walk away with knowledge of?
I do hope that they walk away with the understanding that Black stories can be universal stories too. We are human, and in mainstream media, more often than not, the stories that we laud or praise or offer accolades to rely solely on our pain, but our humanity comes first. And we are not monolithic in any way, shape, or form. There are so many different iterations of young Black girls. There are Black girls with anxiety. There are Black girls that are going through grief. There are Black girls who don't know how to say what they need to say out loud. And there should be more room for stories to be told like that. And that's, I think, the biggest goal of Dear Mama is to make more room for stories like ours to be welcomed into the mainstream.
Absolutely.
Oh, Mikayla, we could talk to you forever on the wonderful work that you're doing. Just real quickly, I know that you're going to be hitting the stage again. Can you just quickly tell our viewers where they can see you next?
Heck yeah. So I am doing a show for the first time in my hometown, Norfolk, Virginia, which is not too far away from New York. It's just a nice little drive at the Virginia Stage Company, and it's called Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous by Pearl Cleage, directed by the illustrious Dr. Tanya Pettiford Waits. We run from March 1st through March 20th, and it's a real good time. Four generations of Black women on stage, getting into some mess. So it's a really, really beautiful time.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, congratulations on all of your success, your films nominations, your theater career, everything. We love you. Come on back soon, all right? We love you.
You'll see me again. Y'all have a good one.
All right.